women have asked, literally through feminism, to take on the roles men already have. Women were in the traditional role, for eons. And just up until the last, 50, 60 years, right, they have wanted to take on more masculine roles, like having a job outside the home. And so I don't feel like men have a fear of that at all. They're sitting back and saying that, okay, here's what we're giving you, rights, we're giving you all these extra things.
Well, I just think that women in general gave a mixed message.
So in that respect, women have literally asked to take on these extra things, and men are sitting back.
Well, not every woman.
Let me finish. So in that regard, we're taking on these roles by choice. We're taking on these extra things by choice, and men are sitting back and saying, "Okay, you wanted this. Let's see you work. Let's see you do it."
Well, I think the real problem is that
you have got to stop interrupting. Honestly,
sorry, I'm autistic.
I'm done.
The way that I see it is that just because feminism posed itself as what every woman wanted, that's not the case. There were tons of women who were perfectly happy, me being one of them, perfectly happy with the traditional whole life role of getting married, having kids, raising the kids, being the stay-at-home wife.
What are you talking about? You absolutely hated it. You write all about it in your book.
No,
how much you hated the traditional lifestyle. You wanted to work in the worst way. You were totally oppressed by the patriarchy. You wrote an entire book outlining this.
It's because I was simply married, in your case, right position, but wrong man, very, very wrong man. And so I had a very bad experience with it.
You advise women against this exact type of relationship and tell them that it's probably bad for them and to embrace their intersexual hooker, basically, right? That's what you advise them to do.
I think you've misunderstood because you gave such a brief look through my book and just made your judgment. But what I was really expressing was that I was never taught how to pick a healthy relationship. Therefore, when I got into the role that I believed I wanted, it felt completely wrong because I was with the completely wrong guy. That was more what I was getting at. And so part of my journey back to a more traditional mindset involved me going through the stint of feminism. Okay, let me see what these girls are talking about with this, that, all this craziness, freedom, liberation, all the way to come back around to my next book will be my journey back to a more traditional female or nurturing role.
Wait, there's no tradition here. What do you mean? You're an worker. You're not by no means have you circled back to a traditional role.
I'm a stay-at-home homeschool mom of 3 kids. That's as traditional as I can be right now. I don't have a husband.
So what does traditional mean? Does that just mean a man goes and works while you stay the fuck home? Is that all you think traditional is? Or is there a set of values with that?
I think it means prioritizing home economics and raising children if you have them.
So then it doesn't mean shit. So all it means is a woman stays home and she watches the kids and the man goes out and works. That's all you think traditional is?
No, I believe it's the general submission of the woman and the general leadership and dominance of the man, if there was one. In my case, I don't have one. So that part of the tradition is not in my life right now.
Every non-traditional relationship on planet Earth can have all women submitting to men, all of them, and it would still be as far from traditional as you can imagine. They could do something like, I don't know, all the women go out and work, and the man stays home, and the woman still submits to him, right? All of the criteria that you just laid out for traditional, it just sounds like gobbledygook to me. There has to be some value set that we're looking for, that we're leaning towards for why we're doing this.
I'm not speaking from a capitalistic domestic business partnership. I'm talking about an agape love, soul connection with another human where you're both in it to win it with each other, a ride or die. So basically we can switch in and out of roles depending on the season we're each going through. So for example, maybe it's not then. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a blend. Maybe it's a more
It sounds
not
like just
complete.
typical
It's a bridge.
modernism.
It's a
It
bridge.
literally just sounds like modernism to me. It just, like
Okay, well,
traditionalism,
that's what
the
it
idea of
sounds like to me.
traditionalism is historically a thing, an experiment which worked. And so you're moving back towards whatever this thing was that worked because it's better than whatever the current thing is.
Well, because
that
we've
isn't
evolved,
working.
Andrew, so we no longer live in a social construct that's going to support traditionalism, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, of course we do.
It's not going to
We
work
just are-
anymore.
Yeah,
It
well, so
won't work
here's-
anymore. We've simply
No,
evolved too
you're wrong.
far
We haven't evolved
as a
past
society.
anything. Not only that, people are desperate to get back to some sense of what you call traditionalism by your own admission, including you. So the thing is like, no, I don't think we've evolved past shit. And not only that, just give my take. The woman in the video is just a typical kind of selfish woman. So her idea here, it all starts with this false supposition of the word fair. This entire worldview revolves around this idea of fairness. Life's not fair. Relationships aren't fair. Marriages aren't fair. When you're talking about equally yoked, that means something completely different than who does the dishes on Thursday. That has nothing to do with any of that. What you're looking at inside of one of these relationships should not be the idea of fair. It should be the idea of what works best for your family. And what's
So
always
fluidity.
going-
So fluidity.
Hang
You
on.
need to be
Let me
fluid
finish,
for the
Desiree.
family.
Let me finish, Desiree. It's okay, Desiree. Just let me finish real quick. What works best for your family dynamic. And so the traditionalists are saying what works best for society and the family dynamic is to have women stay at home to raise the kids, not in laboratories. And the reason they don't want women in laboratories is because then they have to outsource the childcare. So I want the smartest women at home raising the next generation of
So that's
really
what I'm
smart
doing.
kids, right? That's what I want.
So that's
that
what
would
I'm doing.
make a lot more sense than wasting their potential and breeding
Yep,
years
that's what I'm doing.
on having them in a job that a man can do. So the idea here is that the traditionalist movement is saying modernity is screwed up with our priority set because women have become extremely self-centered around this idea of fair, when in fact there is nothing fair. Women don't have to sign up for a draft, for instance. That's not fair. Women are not the people who have to defend you while you sleep. That's not fair. All sorts of things which aren't fair, but yet for some reason men are able to deal with it and women don't seem to be able to deal with it.
Are you done?
Mm-hmm.
So, a couple things. First of all, I was enlisted to go into the U.S. military, but I got pregnant and I had to sign a military discharge. So I was fine as a woman going into the military. Just a caveat.
Yeah,
but
so
I will
what? You never
say
had to
that
sign up for the draft,
it sounds to me like, by your definition, I am actually a traditional woman because I have made many sacrifices to figure out a way to still be a stay-at-home mom and a homeschool mom at that of my 3 kids and not work outside the home. I figured out a home business that I could do that made enough money with me only working a few hours a week. And by the way, that's not making new content because I have tons and tons of content from when the kids used to go to their dads every weekend. So they were never around any of that. It's no different than how you made your online courses. Now it's there, and all you have to do is promotions, basically. Same for me. So judge it all you want. That was what worked for me. That was like the supply and demand. I tried to do like the online coaching thing, writing books, the whole thing, and nobody was going for it.
I really don't think that what we mean when we say traditional lifestyle is your mom stays home because she can also engage in prostitution. I don't think that that is traditional. I don't think by anybody's metric that would ever be considered traditional, Desiree, ever. And so the thing is I'm not even trying to beat you up about it. I'm just telling you, like, how would that ever fit a metric for traditional? We want the best and brightest to stay at home and take care of their kids instead of being in a lab, not, right? That's not what we're after.